When you look at the plagues on America, when you look at the drought on America, when you look at the forest burning in America, when you look at the destruction of the economy of America, it is as she takes a thought. It's as the wicked men sitting in high places just sit down together to seek how to destroy my work and to destroy the work that Yahweh is doing here as the only salvation in America. This is the cause of the plagues. This is the cause of the drought. And if you don't believe it, just keep on messing with me and you'll find out that Yahweh is God and controls nature.
4,000 years ago, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh punished Pharaoh and all of Egypt for the captivity of his chosen people. Today, history is repeating itself, with another great nation being punished. Exodus, release our God to us.
Exodus, release our God to us. 4,000 years ago, there was a country without equal. Its riches were legendary all over the world, and people came from far and wide to stand in awe of the great monuments that had been built. Today, there is also a country without equal. Its riches are legendary, and people come to stand in awe of the great achievements of this country, known as America. 4,000 years ago, a civilization of great riches was built on the backs of its oppressed. Today, America stands squarely on the backs of its oppressed. In Egypt, the children of God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh suffered horribly until the Exodus. Let's read Exodus chapter 3, verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. And the 10 plagues were sent down to Egypt by God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, which forced the ruling class of Egypt to release the children of God. Let's read Exodus chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. Today, the children of God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh are being oppressed again. They are suffering economic, political, educational, social, and religious oppression. Today, the children of God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, who keep the laws of God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, are suffering like those 4,000 years ago did. And like 4,000 years ago, the plagues are being brought down again by God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. A plague may be just a nuisance or a great evil or calamity. You may experience a plague through contaminated water, contaminated food, or viruses in the air. There are economic plagues that may torture you for years, and there are social plagues that may torture you for a lifetime. Over the next several weeks, we will examine each individual plague of Egypt and see whether or not there is a corresponding problem today and how it may be affecting you. And more importantly, we will take a look at what you can do to help yourself so that the plagues will pass over you. In Egypt 4,000 years ago, the people of God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh lived under restraining and oppressive taskmasters. The people of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh did not possess the strength, wisdom, or knowledge of how to come from under their distress and hardship. Being so dependent on those who ruled over them and seeing no way out, they finally cried to God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh for help and deliverance. Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh heard and saw their affliction and promised to deliver them, as stated in Exodus chapter 3, verse 7, which reads, "And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows." Today in America, the people of God are suffering the same economic and social hardships as they did 4,000 years ago. They are overtaxed, living from paycheck to paycheck, losing their jobs, suffering one health crisis after the other, violence in the streets, and corruption in office. The people of God today are in need of divine intervention. In Egypt, God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh fulfilled his promise of deliverance through Moses. Today in America, God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh has sent one like unto Moses to deliver his people from out of their affliction. When the taskmasters of Egypt refused to listen to Moses, God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh hit Egypt with 10 plagues, which were the waters turning to blood, the plague of frogs, the plague of lice, swarms of flies, animals dying, boils, the plague of hail, locusts, 3 days of darkness, and the death of the firstborn. The plagues forced the ruling class of Egypt to take notice of the message of deliverance that Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh gave through Moses. Today, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh has sent us, Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beit Nun Sophie Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, with his message of salvation and deliverance from all problems through his laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. Now, one of the plagues of Egypt was locusts. The book of Revelations, chapter 9, verse 7, describes locusts as a people. The Hebrew word for locust is arbe. Arbe is defined as a destroyer. Locusts are people with a destructive mindset. They have no respect for authority. They are people who will rob you, they carjack you, they rape you, they stalk you, and they will kill you at will. They hold us as prisoners in our own homes. Their destructiveness is on the increase, and there is no controlling them. We have started with locusts because people with a destructive mindset can be the worst possible of all plagues. To come from under the plagues of Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh, the taskmasters of Egypt were commanded to let his people go. Today, the plagues that we're suffering will come to an end when the modern day taskmasters release Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh Beit Nun Sophie Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. We have been talking about how Egypt, the greatest nation on earth 4,000 years ago, was brought down by a power greater than itself. Brought down by God Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh. Yud-Heh-Wav-Heh subdued Egypt with 10 overwhelming plagues that crippled Egypt financially, politically, and socially. The plagues broke the very spirit of the Egyptians. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh did that to Egypt because the rulers afflicted and burdened his people. And he did it to show them his power to deliver. But Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh caused the rulers to become cold-hearted and react negatively to his decree. So, the rulers ignored Moses, the messenger of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, and refused to let his people go to follow him and his ways. Let's read Exodus chapter 10, verses 1 and 2. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. Egypt's counterpart today is America, the greatest nation on earth. In America, the people of God are enduring the same difficulties and problems as they did in Egypt. And like Egypt, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh is crippling America with one plague after the other. Also, like the Egyptian rulers, the rulers today are just as unyielding and refuse to release one they wrongly jailed. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh Beit Nun Sophit, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. Today, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh Beit Nun Sophit, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, is the one sent by Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh to deliver his people from their burdens. Last week, we covered the plague of the locusts, and we found that locusts are described as a people with a destructive mindset with no regard for authority. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh hardened the hearts of the Egyptian rulers so that they would not let his people go to serve and worship him. So Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh plagued all the people of Egypt with 3 days of darkness. Let's read Exodus chapter 10, verses 21 and 22. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. The Hebrew word for darkness is koshek, which means misery, living in ignorance and falsehood, being led into moral darkness, and being ruled by those who are in spiritual darkness. What is going to be your 3 days of darkness? Will your 3 days of darkness be the impending financial crisis of the American government and its people? Or will your 3 days of darkness mean a loss of job, a loss of income, or a loss of your freedom? It was the same in Egypt 4,000 years ago. The children of God were in a moral battle with those who ruled over them. Today in America, the children of God are in a moral battle with those who rule over us. The 3 days of darkness is another plague of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 says, For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. 4,000 years ago, the rulers could have stopped the fall of Egypt by simply letting the children of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh go. The rulers today can prevent the fall of America by letting the son of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Beit Nun Sophit, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, go. Time after time, God Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh sent his man Moses before the oppressors of Egypt to tell them to let his people go. Let's read Exodus chapter 9, verse 1. Then the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, and tell him, Thus said the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And in each instance, the oppressors rejected Moses. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh told Moses that they would, because they are arrogant. Though the economy was failing, they refused. Though the country was going bankrupt, they refused. Though the people were mourning, they refused. Though the land was being divinely destroyed, they refused. Let's read Exodus chapter 9, verse 12. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh had spoken unto Moses. When you hear the word boils, what do you think of? The Hebrew word for boils is shakim. A boil, shakim, is a swollen, festering sore caused by the skin burning. A boil can be in the form of an ulcer, a lesion, a tumor, or a mole. Ancient Egypt learned that there was none like Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh in all the earth. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh then plagued the land with boils, and the boils affected both man and beast. Let's read Exodus chapter 9, verses 8 and 9. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh said unto Moses and unto Aaron, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with flames upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt. Today, in the United States, hundreds of thousands of people have developed some form of skin cancer. It is estimated that 1 out of 7 people will acquire some type of skin cancer in their lifetime. One serious sunburn can increase the risk by as much as 50%. Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Beit Nun Sophit, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh is the messenger of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh today. He has been imprisoned by those who oppress the children of Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. We ask again that you let Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Beit Nun Sophit, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh go. Don't refuse like those who oppressed the children of God 4,000 years ago. The Egyptian government opposed Moses, the man of God. They were determined to resist Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh at all costs, in spite of the many opportunities Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh gave them to let his people go. When the Egyptian government refused to let his children go, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh plagued all their borders with frogs. Let's read Exodus chapter 8, verses 1 and 2. And the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus said the Lord Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs.